Hello, everybody. We had a slight technical difficulty, but I don't think it affects you guys. It only affects us at what we see up here. For some reason, we can't see the live chat on the screen that we have up here. Don't know why, but we can see it on the monitor one, so that's okay. I'll have to look into that. It's always something. So I hope everybody can hear us and see us okay. Let me check on my monitor. So we can't see the live chat. Everything's working there. Okay, that is good to know. Okay, so we'll have to get used to looking at it down here today then instead of up there for whatever stupid reason.
So we'll be looking over here.
Yeah, we'll be looking over here at what you guys have to say. Well, I could mount it up on top.
Well, no, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Anyways, let's see who we've got here. Diana Miller is here. Hello, Diana. And Jean is here. Charlotte and Diana Corday is here. Julie, Tamala, Jeannie is here. Heather, I said Charlotte. Dalmarie is here. Mona is here. Andy's here. Patsy. Patty B is here. Monkey Man is here. Kim McCowan is here. Hi, Kim. Russ is here. And Philippa is here. What a trooper. Here all the way on Monday, early Monday morning in Australia. Yep. So we've got quite a few here. What are you checking?
Actually, I was going to bring it up on my phone, but I was going to just do it on my cell phone data so that I don't interfere.
Oh, okay. Well, you probably can. It probably won't interfere with what we've got here. But Faith is here. Hi, Faith. So everybody is here by the looks of things. So let's get started. We have lots of varied things to talk about today. Something that's pissing us off already about 5 minutes ago, but we'll come to that near the end today, probably about that. Brenda's here. Hi, Brenda. And she's got the weather report for it. It's in the mid-90s. And Karen B is here. So, anyways, let's talk about what we've been working on. Well, I haven't been working on that much because I had a quilt on Lucey this week, and I got it all quilted and done.
I can't get it going. So
you can't get it going? Oh, well, you're useless. Yeah, really. I don't know.
I'll watch it here. I was to be sticking my nose on there.
Yeah, well, nothing new for you. Anyways, as I was saying, I quilted my secret project. It's basically, I can't show it to you, and you won't see it for a year, or less than a year, but not until next April, because it is the quilt that I have designed and will be teaching for Stephanie's Retreat in Berlin, Ohio, in next April. So, yeah, can't show it to you, but it came out pretty good.
I saw it.
Yep, and I got another one quilted. Actually, I didn't quilt that one this week. I quilted that one last week. This week, what did I quilt that I was working on? Or did I? No, I didn't quilt anything this week. Or did I? Did I bind something? I did. I did something. What did I do?
Didn't you do the one, something with the strip quilt?
Oh, the jelly. Yeah, I did that too. But I did actually quilt something because I bound it. Maybe it was.
I heard the machine going.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe it was the retreat quilt. Old age. Don't remember anything. I can't tell you what I did yesterday. Well, I can, but I have to think about it. I'm going to have to start carrying a journal or something, writing things in my cell phone about what I did every day. My father used to do that, only he did it like in book form, but he did it as part of his job
went to Kenny's place. And...
Yeah, well, we're coming to that. Anyways, that's what I've been working on, but I did do something this morning. Actually, this is what Walter was referring to, the jelly roll quilt. That's not the picture I want.
That's not my quilt.
I am so mixed up. Here we go. Okay, let's get on track. No, we have not been drinking beer all afternoon. This is the first one we've had. Okay, let me switch over here. All right, here we go. This is a bag that I just finished up. Well, actually, I made it today, sort of. I started the embroidery on it yesterday. But, okay, Stephanie and some of you may recognize this bag because this was the Jelly Roll Race quilt. Now, you're going to say, but didn't you say you were giving that to Project Linus once you got it quilted and bound? Yes, I had planned to do that, and I had a little problem while I was quilting it. I didn't advance one of my rules, one of my
rows.
Right. And that's a whole story in itself, which I might discuss on the Idiot Quilter this week, because I learned a few things. Well, actually, I can discuss it now in the sense that I was having a problem. When you advance a quilt on a long arm, you get a big roll of quilt in behind your needle. Now, I thought if you're using QuiltPath, the computerized program, it compensates for that, because you put in certain measurements when you first set everything up. And, as the roll gets bigger, the machine knows, and so it doesn't advance itself quite as close to that quilt. At least that's what I thought it was supposed to do. It didn't. And I've had this...
It doesn't do that.
It doesn't do that. And I've had this problem a couple times before. Now, usually on most quilts, it's not a major problem. But on a really long quilt, and this one was fairly long, it pushes against the needle and it moves the whole needle mechanism, the head, forward. It bumps it forward, and that throws your alignment out. So I went online to figure out if other people have had this problem and how they fix it, because I'm pretty sure I'm loading my quilt right. I've done it 100 times, and I taught Walter how to do it. Yeah, it's amazing how you tend to... Well, here's another picture of this bag while we're here. This is with the straps. There you go. But you develop bad habits for some reason, and you start to believe that your bad habits are the right way to do things. So I did a search. I couldn't find a heck of a lot about that, but then I went on to Whirls and Swirls YouTube channel, because Tracy, who is the person that is my APQS dealer, and she knows everything there is to know about APQS machines and QuiltPath and how to use them and everything. She's brilliant. So I sent her an email. I found one of her videos, but I sent her an email, told her what my problem was. Then I watched her video about how to, load it. Well, I had developed a couple of really bad habits. And that just goes to prove that what you should really do is you should, check yourself every now and then, and this kind of philosophy works for having problems with your threading of your machine or your threads doing weird things. Review how you're threading it, because you can develop bad habits and not realize it. So I taught Walter wrong.
That's okay. I can't remember how to do it.
Yeah, that's why I figured, so it's all right. Anyways, went down to see Tracy too, and she showed me a couple of tricks. I said, I thought QuiltPath was supposed to compensate for that. She says, oh no, it does not. This is how you work around that problem. And she showed me what to do, and I was trying it out yesterday, and yes. She also showed me a couple other things that I had forgotten. It's good to have a refresher every now and then when you're using something like this, because it's easy enough. With a long arm, there are a lot of steps. And if you saw our video, the series where I was showing Walter how to quilt his quilt, there's a lot of steps. And if you don't do it every day, you can develop bad habits, or you can forget something. And you've got to do everything in the proper order, proper way, proper sequence. So it was a good lesson to learn. So the other day I threw on a blank sandwich because I want to do a customized quilting. I've been saying this for a while. I have 2 quilts that lend themselves to doing this, and I want to get them on there like tomorrow, one of them anyways, and start working on that. But I was experimenting, so I stitched out a grid and played around with patterns and settings and everything like that, and I think I pretty much have it figured out how to do this.
So what you're saying though is that you're going to make a customized quilt using QuiltPath.
Yes, using QuiltPath.
But have it, instead of doing edge to edge, you're doing patterns
in a block.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a pattern in a block. And my borders are going to be separately done as well. So that's customization. Edge to edge is just simply the same pattern going back and forth, wind it ahead, back and forth, wind it ahead. With a custom, you're taking this little square area, you have to mark what your perimeter of that block is, and then it puts the pattern in there, and there's other things you have to do as well. Really not hard, but but more time consuming than edge to edge, because basically you're stopping and starting, stopping and starting, stopping and starting. So we'll see how that goes.
Actually, that sounds kind of interesting to do.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit more interesting than watching the machine going and back and forth.
Yeah.
So, okay, what are people saying here? Monkey Man Kim. Let's see. Did we say hello to Janet Lloyd? Hello, Janet. Dubrovka is here. Teresa's here. Pace is here. Sue Norfleet is here. Cindy is here. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Aren't you just a friendly group? Monkey Man is going to listen while she sews. Okay. Or he sews. I'm not sure. It says Monkey Man. Male or female? Or, sorry.
There might have been a movie recently.
Or maybe
it was called Monkey Man, or a program.
I shouldn't say male or female. I should say, what are your pronouns? Yeah. Dana's here. Hi, Dana. Candace is here. Ruth is here. We got a lot of people here. Faith says, will you be doing videos from Berlin, Ohio?
We will try.
We will try. It depends on our technology. We're discovering a lot of things about Berlin, Ohio. Like, they literally roll up the streets at about 5 in the afternoon. Might be difficult to get a drink, unless it's soda. And, yeah. And if you enjoy buffets, place to go. Just not on a Sunday. So,
well, Millersburg's not far away,
yeah.
And there's another place, Sugar something or another, that's not far away that has open restaurants on Sundays.
I think we're moving into the center of the sticks, Amish country.
Yeah, center of backward society.
Okay, if anybody's sitting on their porch plucking a banjo, I'm running. But whatever.
It will be a little bit of
a culture shock for us. Yeah. But that's okay. We're still looking forward to it. Let's see. Kay's here. Charlotte is here. Oh, I already said Charlotte. Sherry Cook is here. Shannon's here. Hi, Shannon. Hope you're feeling better these days. We've missed you. Melissa is here. And so everybody's saying hello. Julie Kuhn says, I'm in my 18-wheeler trying to outrun the hurricane coming.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Where are you, Julie? Are you down in Texas or the Midwest? Oh, wait, hurricanes. No, I'm thinking tornadoes. So you must be, what, down along the Gulf Coast or Florida
I'm not sure
area?
where the hurricane is this right now. I haven't been following it.
No, I haven't either. So anyways, that's what I've been doing with Lucey, and I have another secret project, and I cannot reveal it to you, and it has to do within the hoop embroidery, and I'm doing some testing for something, and when I'm given the go-ahead, which will be probably a while yet that I can reveal this to you, then I will. But I can't say anything or show you anything at the moment. It is a work in progress with another person. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. So what are you finding out here?
I think it's coming up the coast inside maybe Texas and places. Yeah.
Oh, not good. Ingrid's here. Hi, Ingrid. Monkey Man says, my son nicknamed his toddler Monkey Man because he climbed over everything. Okay. We still don't know whether you're...
Hey, I was called a monkey when I was a little kid, too.
And guess what?
Because I used
to look like a monkey.
I used to crawl like a monkey.
Yeah, you still look like a monkey, too, so that would probably be it.
I didn't crawl like normal kids did.
Oh, of course you didn't. Okay, so those are the things I had to show you. Now, Walter's working on a shirt. How far you got?
No, I haven't got very far because last weekend I started it and I got ticked off with the sleeve and I cut a new sleeve, but I haven't started sewing it.
So what happened with the sleeve?
I had a couple of tucks in it and they were little tiny tucks. And then I thought, should I fix this or not? And I shouldn't fix those things because...
Why should
because I always screwed up at worse. And I did. I ended up stretching the material, and now it's a lot worse. So I ended up cutting a new sleeve, and I got to sew it in again. And so I get ticked off at it, and then I don't want to go back.
Well, you know what I say to that? You're an idiot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, really. I had to say.
I mean, that's why I don't want to show anybody how to sew, because you might have a lot of swearing in there.
Well, What is it? Julie says Corpus Christi landfall tonight here. Okay. Well, drive, Julie, drive. Let's see who. Oh, Beverly is here. Hi, Beverly. And Marilyn's here. Battling with a quilt sandwich here. Yeah, we've all been on that. Laura's here. I'm here. Hello, everyone. I know I'm late. Shame on me. Oh, geez, Laura, have you ever been on time? I'm starting to wonder. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we've been working on. So what's coming up? All right. Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen on Wednesdays as usual. You know the drill is down there. If you're new here and you don't know what we're talking about, you're welcome to join us. It's on Wednesdays. Information's in the show notes. There's a link. It's a Zoom. It's private. Okay, we're over with that. But next Saturday, July the 13th, we are having my birthday bash pop-up sew day. So I will be sending out to those of you on the mailing list tomorrow the Zoom link for that, but I will also be posting in my vlog on Monday, the episode of Idiot Quilter on Tuesday, and So Chatty on Friday. And today, in the show notes, after this goes to rebroadcast, there will be the Zoom link as well, all for my pop-up, my birthday bash pop-up sew day, and all are welcome. It's come and go, but there's one little trick. I am having prizes because it's my birthday, so I'm giving you gifts. And the prizes will be a random draw. Now, I can't remember. I did this last year on my birthday as well, and I can't remember how I randomly picked people that were on for that. But I have found an app that works with Zoom that basically takes attendance. Yeah. It's a freebie, free trial thing I've got with this. I'm not paying for it. They want a subscription like of $10 for the basic every month. Well, I wouldn't use it that often. But it goes in, reads the names of everybody that's in the chat at whatever, or in the on the Zoom at a given time, and numbers them all. And I can just basically use a random number generator, pick my winners from that. So that's how I'm going to be doing that, unless somebody has a better idea. The other idea I thought of, well, basically I can freeze the screen, and I usually do. And that means you're in the same spot on the screen after you've booked in. And I could just do a count. Like random number generator says number 12, and I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12, it's you. You've won a prize. So it will be Amazon gift certificates. They will be, since probably most of the winners will be Americans, I will do it for Amazon.com. But if you're Canadian and you win, it'll be Amazon.ca, which costs me more. Or no, the American ones cost me more. So, because of the exchange rate, but that's okay. So yeah, I'm not going to have a lot of them, but I am going to have a few. And so the trick is this. When I have the draw, you must be on screen, which means you must be connected to the Zoom and you have to have your video camera on. I will give you a 5-minute countdown before I do a draw. So you'll see that come up on screen. It'll actually come up on whatever screen I'm on, and you'll see it there. Those of you that were at the retreat, the last retreat, I did a similar thing, and so you know what I'm talking about. So it should be lots of fun. And yeah. I'm spending my birthday with you. Now, the 13th is technically not my birthday. It's the next day. The 14th is my birthday. Bastille Day. But, yeah, I always do pop-ups on a Saturday. So that's what's happening there. What are people saying here? Charlotte has... Laura says, I may have been on time once or twice, but I'm sure it was by accident. Oh, well, you're here now. It doesn't matter. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's not totally completely clear because of the distance, but I can see it.
Okay, good. Diana Miller says, Stephen, thank you for doing the Underground Railroad quilt. I ordered the book, looking forward to working on. I had a lot of fun doing that. I really did. And I did all the blocks. And as you know, there are 2 blocks in there that I was shying away from because they involve curved piecing, but they worked out fine. There was no problem. So yeah, now that's one that's hanging up in the Lucey room that I need to quilt. Now that one I am debating whether I will do custom. I might. because it has different blocks, so I could do custom on it. So we'll see about that. I'll keep you informed. Let's see. Every time I bend over and it looks like I'm going off the screen, because I am. Let's see. Del Marie says, I can't believe it's been a year. Time flies. Yep, time flies when you're getting old. Yep. Tamala says, hello. Oh, she's saying hello to Stephanie. Is Stephanie here? Oh, there's Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. Didn't realize that Stephanie had come in. Oh, Philippa, did you get Mona's email? Oh, what little secrets are you two talking about? I have a feeling I know what it's about, but yeah, but inquiring minds. Grant's here. Hi, Grant. Kay says, I thought you had names on a wheel.
Yeah, but that was more when you did
that was for the retreat.
And you already have a list of people that are going to attend, right? Yeah. Whereas Pop-Up So Day, you get random people coming in. So
like you don't have to register, so I don't have your name until the moment you get on. But yeah, you're right. I did use the name generator, random name generator wheel, but that's because I was able to, because I had people were registered. And I'm not asking anybody to register for this one. So we'll figure it out one way or another.
Figure out something that works.
But I can't remember what I did. And I gave prizes at last year.
You could do something like, it's a bit of a pain, but you'd have to mark down names of everybody coming in and then give them a number. And then do a number.
Well, I thought of that too. But that's what this attendance list kind of thing does. So, yeah, and as long as it works okay, you're allowed to use it 10 times. I've used it once on an experiment. So, I think I've got enough that I can use it like at periodic. People go out. Or what I can do is, for the first draw.
What you could do is you could test it on a Wednesday or something. And you'd use up one of your...
Yeah, true. I could do that.
And just do it with the people that are on Wednesday just to see how it works.
Yeah. I found out something else that you can do in Zoom. You can do an attendance list in Zoom too. However, the way it works is after the fact. You've already had finished the Zoom meeting, and you also can't set it up for one day. It has to be set up for a whole month, and it gives you all the stats for a month. It's stupid the way it works. I was looking actually online to see if anybody had developed something with Zoom, and there's a lot of people asking Zoom to do this, like put this in, and Zoom answers back with, yeah, well, we'll look into that kind of a thing. So I'm sure it's not a high priority for them yet. They're always doing something new on Zoom, so you never know what's happening. Laura says, a teacher taking attendance seems appropriate. Yeah, that's what I thought there. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm caught up on everybody's comments. All right, so that's the birthday bash. As I said, the links will be in the show notes of everything this coming week, and you'll get an email as well. Okay, I will be, just as a thing, having troubles again with the mailing list. It has nothing to do with the way my mailing list is set up. It has everything to do with my provider. They're screwing around with something. So I have the same list. My mailing list is in two places. One on my main provider, Bell Canada, and my other one is on my Gmail account. And the Gmail account doesn't seem to give me any problems. So from here on in, when I send out something from the mailing list, I'll be sending it from it. Now, nothing you need to do or worry about, except that if you make a reply, and it's not necessary to reply to the email I send out for Pop-Up So Days. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to say why you can't attend.
Yeah, you don't. Some people give me a human interest story about why they can't attend or something, and it's not necessary. It's okay. If you can't make it, you can't make it. I'm not hurt much, really.
Unless nobody shows up.
Then I'll be really hurt. Yeah, no. But so you don't have to worry about that, okay? So don't waste your time sending me a note telling me, well, I want to come, but I've got the grandkids are coming over and we're doing this and that. And so I don't know. I might be able to pop in for a minute, but you don't have to make any excuses. No excuse necessary. Okay. If you're here, great. If you're not here, I won't know.
Enjoy what you're doing. Yeah.
I will not take offense much if you don't show up for my birthday bash. but I have a memory like a steel trap when it comes to being slighted. I can't remember yesterday, but don't slight me. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry about it. You don't have to respond to that email. Okay, so something else coming up this week. It is that time again. It is the social review. It will be on Russ's channel this week. And of course, that involves, for those of you who've never seen it, it is our YouTube live we do once a month. And we rotate it between Stephanie Stitches, Shannon of Slay Arts, Russ of Quilt Meets World, and the two of us on the Idiot Quilter. And so, as I said, it's Russ's turn for this. So go to Russ's channel Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we haven't really decided on our topic yet. So once we know, you'll know. It'll probably be at the time of with it. But we always have a lot of fun on that. And I see no reason why this time should not be equally as much fun with it. So that's Wednesday. What are people saying here? Philippa says, unfortunately, she won't be able to join the birthday bash. Well, we will miss you, but that's okay. As I said, I'm not that hurt. But you are coming over here at Christmas time. Just saying. Never mind. It's fine, Philippa, but we will miss you. Okay, let's see. What else is up on the channel? Oh, yeah. The last part of the series, Walter Does Lucey, is up. That is part 5. And so Walter finished quilting his quilt and showed him how to take it off the long arm. I didn't do that wrong. I just showed him the wrong stuff for putting it on the long arm. Luckily, though, we did not have a problem with that.
My quilt wasn't long enough.
It wasn't long enough. That was why, yeah, with it. But that looks good. So now, what's Walter got left to do? Oh,
I still have to bind it.
Bind it.
Square it up.
Square it up. Trim it, square it, bind it. Yep. Already made you the binding for it. So we really got to get on with that.
Yeah,
and we
okay,
will
fine.
be videoing it. There will be cursing and swearing. He will call me everything but a white man. So in that. And if you've never heard that expression before, I just realized that might sound a little bit racist, but my father used to say that all the time, and he was. So, but I mean, it's the generation, you know. He didn't think he was being, well, we get too uptight about things. But anyways, so that's coming up. All right. We are going to be starting a new series. Now, probably not this week on So Chatty, but you've been pouring in all kinds of suggestions. Thank you very much. And our door is still open for more suggestions. And as I said, some of them are not doable, but some of them may not be doable, but they give us ideas for other things. So it looks like we're going to be developing a series on sergers and cover stitch machines. I've already roughed out some ideas. I haven't passed him yet. I want to do that today, but as usual, went away. But we will do that. But I think this coming week, Walter will be featured, showing you how he does buttonholes on his sewing machine. So that's what we'll be doing on So Chatty this coming week as well, because that was one of the things that was requested. It's one of those one-off kind of things. What I mean, like, it's only for one session, because you really can't develop a series about that because...
Yeah, and the problem with doing buttonholes is I'm showing you the buttonholer feature on my machine. Now, they're pretty common. The buttonholers on Janome machines are pretty much the same across the newer Janome machines. So I don't know what the older ones have as far as buttonholders. And I don't know, and there are older machines that do not have buttonholers. You used to have to do it manually, but I don't know how to do it manually, and I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but I can show you how to do it on what I'm doing, and I'm sure that the method is similar on other machines. I'm sure each machine has their own method of doing it.
But you aren't going to be showing them how to do it without that feature on a sewing machine. So if you've got like
No.
a featherweight or something like that, no, that's beyond the scope. And in fact,
Yeah, I can't. I don't do that. I can't. The only way I know how to do it is through using the buttonholer that's on my Janome machine.
now really though, I have seen videos where people have done it the way they used to do it before this feature was ever on a sewing machine. And essentially all it is you mark it, you cut a hole, I think, and then you do a satin stitch all the way
Yeah,
around it.
basically, you're doing a satin
Yeah.
stitch all the way around the hole, and well, I'm sure if you get used to doing it,
That way.
That way, you'll get the hang of it. But the automatic buttonholer feature is takes that.
Yeah. Plus,
However, I've had that happen where the buttonholer has not functioned properly, and I get half a buttonhole. And if that happens,
what do you do?
well, actually, what I have done is I fudged it a few times to
Well,
fix that.
that's something we can touch on the Sew
And
Chatty as well.
it makes your buttonhole a little uneven, but I mean, if you're really picky, it's not a thing. But or you can pick it out. And picking out a buttonhole is not easy.
No, because there's a lot of stitches in it.
Because it's essentially you're picking out a satin stitch.
Well, you can talk about that kind of thing too on Sew Chatty. That'll be part of that thing on when we do that on Friday.
Yeah.
So let's see. People are saying here. Let's see. Oh, Dawn is here. Charlotte wants to know, which Janome do you have, Walter?
I have a Janome 6700P, but I do know I know other people have other Janomes, and Steve has an M7 and
an S7.
S7, and I know people that have had the more inexpensive models, the smaller models. And essentially, the buttonholers are all pretty much the same.
It's pretty much almost a standard feature on even the lower end sewing machines now.
Yeah, I mean, you get down to maybe the basic sewing machine. I don't know if they have them, but I know the newer Janomes all operate the same way. The only thing I have is I have a selection of like 7 buttonholes or whatever, 7 styles of buttonholes.
Ooh.
But I personally have only pretty much used the standard buttonhole.
Well, that's another thing we can show them too on Sew Chatty, the different buttonholes that are there, what's available, just so people know that it's more than just one type of buttonhole. But I think, like you said, basically, I think most people just use the standard buttonhole, like whatever's on that. But anyways, we will talk about all these things on Sew Chatty on Friday. So stay tuned. Okay, now another thing that someone suggested, somebody wanted, I put up on Tuesday, I put up a special video where I showed you how I did a haunting scene wall hanging, the In the Hoop project that I'd been working on. And what I did was I showed you how to put the tiles together, because you have to use your regular sewing machine for that, and joining them all up and getting them in alignment with each other. There is a little trick, and I did talk about the tricks and techniques that I use for, getting them as close as you possibly can, because I don't think you'll ever get it absolutely perfect because of the nature of the beast. But somebody said they'd like to see a series or a tutorial on making the actual tiles. And I think we've gone over that. In fact, I think we went over that when we did the series on machine embroidery. But I might be able to do, I wouldn't do it as a series, but I might be able to do one little segment on, say, Sew Chatty or something like that down the road, just showing you how it all works. It's basically just embroidery, though. That's all there is to it. But anyways, that's an idea. And another idea somebody wanted was, and I've done this before, but maybe it would be good to revisit it. Somebody asked about freestanding lace and how you do those. And again, that's pretty much embroidery, with the difference being you're not putting it on fabric. You're actually putting it just on water-soluble stabilizer. So I might do a little thing about that as well. But again, that's not something that would constitute more than just a demo one time, not a series. But thank you for the suggestions, because my brain is working. Oh yeah, somebody else wanted embroidery, in the hoop embroidered postcards. They're a bit of a trend right now. Right up there with rope bowls. No, not really. When I first got an embroidery machine, back when I first got into quilting, I saw these and I thought I'd give them a try, but I didn't do anything really with them because I couldn't think of a practical use for them. But I'm thinking now, like some people are using them now to create special occasion cards, like something a little special for somebody that's a close friend, or Christmas cards. But again, I don't think you'd want to, I think they take a while. I don't think you want to make all your Christmas cards this Christmas using this method, but I might explore that further, and that might be a little mini series on it. I'll have to see what's involved.
Yeah, there are some greeting card type things that you can do on the embroidery machine. That might be something interesting.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. So that's,
I mean, for somebody special.
Mm-hmm. Somebody who's worthy of receiving something like that.
Or if you want to create something kind of unique.
Yeah, that too. So we'll see about that. Barb, she's sorry she's late. We're sorry too, Barb. Charlotte has an HZL 600. What's an HZL?
I don't know. Is it a Janome?
Is that a Janome, or is it a Husqvarna, or what is it?
I mean, you really should let us know what brand it is.
Yeah, we don't have all of the model numbers memorized.
I don't have all the model numbers memorized from the past.
Yeah. And Em is here. Hi, Em.
Sue said she has a 20-plus-year-old 4800 Janome that has a pre-programmed buttonhole feature. Is the pre-programmed buttonhole feature on your machine also have a device that helps you
figure out the size of the hole based on your button?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's curious. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because all you do is you drop the button into one end of this sucker, and it's on your and it's hooked up to your needle or everything, and then
it creates a buttonhole for the size of the button you've got.
Yeah, that's what you use, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I
was going to say. Yeah,
I mean, it does have its limitations. Yeah. Your button size can't be an infinite size.
Oh, Charlotte says it's a Juki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jukis are a rarity here in our area. I mean,
well, I think there is a dealer in Toronto. But there aren't a lot of dealerships that are in our area, in our specific area. We tend to have more, in Canada, we tend to have either Janome or Bernina.
Some brothers,
but brothers aren't really
baby
big
locks.
in Canada.
Baby locks are rare too.
Baby locks are rare. But if you get into the bigger centers like Toronto or maybe some of the bigger cities in Canada, yeah, there's more varied dealers. So
yeah, Cindy has the Memory Craft 8900 QCP and an S7. Yeah, the QCP, the 8900 QCP, is very similar in its operation as the M7. So yeah. And Sue says, yes, put the button in the back and makes a perfect buttonhole. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Monkey Man says, my Jane 6600 is 18 years old and a workhorse. I love her. Jane 6600. Oh, is that just, you just name it?
Short name for Janome.
Yeah. What is it with women in short forms? We were saying this earlier.
I mean, I've been reading some other Facebook sites, and they have all these short forms in there.
Yeah.
Which I'm always looking up. What's this mean?
Yeah, like today we had to look up for embroidery WSS. Water soluble stabilizer.
Assuming.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one other than TMI?
Or WTF? No.
Yeah. Well, that's more like what I was thinking about some of these posts. Yeah, I know. WTF.
Well, I was going to say, I say WTF to your WSS. So, but whatever.
Thanks in advance, right? TIA.
Oh, T, is that what it was?
Yeah,
TI?
something like
I
that.
don't remember. Like these short forms. These kids today. Cindy says, I have an 11-inch harp on the 8900. Yeah. My M7 has 13.5 inches, I think, isn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah, mine's
And I
13.5.
think I on my 6700P I have 11 inches too.
Yeah. But size matters. Yeah.
And I do like, even though I do garments and stuff, I do like the fact that it's wide to shove stuff through.
Yeah. Well, his machine was my original first real sewing machine, the Janome 6700P. And that machine is a workhorse. I mean, you've done all kinds of garments on it. I did quilts
I
on
do
it.
bags that have
Yeah.
like
Many,
12 layers. That's right.
yeah, Walter loves a stiff bag. But yeah, firm. That's the word I wanted, firm. But yeah, it's a great machine and never had a problem with it.
No,
It's never gone. In fact,
I've
cleaned it.
broken needles more than.
You haven't cleaned it either. Like, well, you
Well,
did
I
the
do clean it,
superficial
but I
cleaning,
need to clean the bottom of it.
yeah, and we want to make a video of Walter
Mm.
pulling his machine apart and cleaning it. I've done two machines now, the M7 and the S7, and
I do try to thoroughly clean it from the top.
Well, yeah.
But I haven't pulled the bottom.
but
out.
I'm really curious to see how much crap is in it
Yeah.
because I don't. I think I took the machine in once, just
Yeah.
after I got it, like 6 months down the road, because they're all talking about take it in once a year. And I think I had it professionally cleaned then, but I don't think it's been cleaned since. And that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, mine. I haven't taken it in. And I do try and clean it from the top fairly regularly, especially after I do a bag, because when I do a bag, I often use fusibles, fleece, and some other stuff that gives off a lot of stuff, and it gets dirty in the
She's a dirty girl.
in the like the bobbin case and stuff.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I wouldn't mind taking the bottom
Oh
off.
yeah, but we will video that. Okay, when we go through that process. Again, have to review the notes on how to open up the 6700P. I don't think it's going to be too difficult.
Yeah, I don't think
The
so.
Janomes are actually pretty easy to open up to get into them to where you need to get in for cleaning, I have found. Charlotte says she has too many machines. My Janome is a 4120 QDC. Okay, I'm not familiar
Yeah, the
with that machine.
4120 QDC
Oh,
is
you know
one
that
of
one?
the smaller machines.
Hmm.
And I believe they have a buttonholer that's similar to what I use.
So you're good for that. Ruth says, curious as to what was the tipping point for purchasing your long arm. Obviously a big decision investment. Just beginning to think about it. Oh, that's easy. Tipping point was Walter. I mean, I had no problem. I wanted one. But it was during COVID.
It was during COVID, and I have been on the I took the long arm certification course with Steve and did some other stuff, another course with him about free motion quilting.
And what he's talking about is that Whirls and Swirls with Tracy that I mentioned earlier. If you can rent her machine, as you can in most places that have long arms, but you have to take a course, like a one-day little session to learn how to use it. And so we both took that course because I was quilting my quilts at the beginning on her machines.
So what ended up happening was we hadn't really talked about a long arm, but he did voice in a thing that it would be nice to have one.
Mm-hmm.
We had taken the courses at Tracy's, and we did originally look at a Janome long arm, which is actually a handy quilter, I believe, in the shop that we have, and we were sort of looking at them, but then I started reading about maybe the limitations of that brand, and we got used to renting time on the APQS models at Tracy's place, and so I started watching the sales and things like that, and then we were during COVID, and it was kind of, you couldn't go out anywhere or anything like that. We weren't traveling.
And we weren't traveling, so we were saving quite a bit of money.
So I had said that a sale came up for it.
And you know how Walter loves a sale.
And I said to Steve, we started talking about it. And I said, well, what about, I actually went and measured.
Yeah.
measured around to see if we could have one. Anyway, I said, what do you think about trying to get a long arm? Because I said it would be nicer. Then because he always complained about if you went into Tracy's place to rent time on it, people would always stick their nose out.
Oh, they come running over. What are you doing? I'm quilting. Oh, what pattern are you doing? Oh, why'd you pick that pattern? Oh, that's a nice quilt. What are those colors? Everything like that. Shut up. I'm on the clock here, baby. I'm paying $30 an hour for this. Move on.
Yeah. So I said to him, well, what about we? So we weren't traveling very much, and that was before he got the computer on it. And I said, well, Lucey's on sale. Why don't we look at Lucey? I mean, it isn't as nice as maybe getting a top line model Millie or whatever, but it did have a 26-inch throat like the Millie. And I thought maybe that's good enough for us.
Yeah. Well, then we had to figure out, but where are we going to put it? And we have this space in our rec room that is sort of like the way the furniture is set up in the rec room, in that it's sort of a separated space. And so we did some measurements, and yes, it would fit there. But I said to Walter, yeah, but the first thing anybody's going to see when they walk into our rec room is this great big industrial machine, and I thought, I don't think that's good. It's going to make the room look chunky and the whole bit. But then we got talking about the workshop. Now, I was working in Walter's workshop. I kind of took over one end of it, and I called it my sewing dungeon. And that was my sewing part of the workshop. And as time went on, I was encroaching more onto his. And he had this big old table saw, about 60 years old. That was his dad's death trap on it.
Which I didn't really use very much.
No.
I did use it once in a while, but not very often.
But you bought a chop saw or whatever you call it.
Yeah, I know, and I did like the flexibility of the table saw if I had to do something big, but I decided I could get rid of it.
So that started a whole chain of things we had to do, because okay, we had to get rid of that table saw. That gave some space there, but in the meantime, I had built sort of counter space with IKEA at one end, and I had these folding tables, like the kind you see in conference places, all out and all configured there. But my room that we're in right now, which is my sewing room now, was my craft room. And it meant that I would have to go through all my cupboards. I used to have an island here. I have an island now, kind of a thing, but it's my sewing table, my cutting table. You've seen it, and that kind of thing. So a lot of stuff had to go. And I had a lot of crafting stuff that had to go. So I called up my friends that are also crafters, paper crafters. I laid everything out. They made appointments with me. They came over and I said, bring bags, take whatever you want. And it was a gold mine. They just about crapped their pants, because there was like a good 20 years of scrapbooking and crafting stuff there that, went. And I was happy for them to take it, because I was done with it. And I didn't want to just throw it away, and I didn't want to take it to someplace like Value Village, because I
mean, you could try and recover some money from it.
Yeah, but it wasn't worth it.
It was too much trouble.
They offered to pay me for what they took, and I said, nope. I know it's going to get used. You're going to enjoy it. You're working on this. Help yourself. That's my past. I'm now in the future. And so we got all the stuff cleaned out of the workshop in there, got this room situated around, and then they delivered the APQS, and it came in a transport truck, like literally a transport truck on our street outside, and it's in 7 boxes, heavy boxes.
Well, I think the heaviest box was 120 pounds.
And we had to get those boxes down into our rec room. No help from the guy driving the truck. He sat there and filed his nails. And here we are, 2 old men struggling with this. And on the APQS machines, the bars, the leader bars in that, are one piece. They're solid.
They're solid metal, so they don't really bend or anything like that. They're very sturdy.
And then we had to put it all together.
But actually, that wasn't too bad.
But that was about 4.5 hours. Oh. And then we had a problem. There was a part we thought was missing. I called up APQS.
Now, before anybody says, we could have gotten help assembling it.
Yes.
But Tracy offered to help
Yeah.
us, right? But we said,
Well, it was COVID still.
yeah, and we said, no, we'll give it a go. If we get stuck, we'll give you a call.
Yep. And we got it all together and whatnot. But that's what tipped us into it. And then about 6 months later or so, I decided, nope, I want the computer system. And that's expensive, but we got that. And then we had to install it as well. It wasn't that hard, but you know. And yeah, so that's basically what was the tipping point. Tipping point was really the fact that when I was quilting a quilt on my domestic machine, I had built a nest of tables all around me, and I hated it. I absolutely hated quilting the
Plus,
quilts.
we rented time on the long
Yeah.
arms in Tracy's place. And yeah, it's a huge expense. You cannot justify that.
Well, it was costing me about $120 per quilt just to quilt that, plus time, and I had a schedule time. And then, as we said, we'd get these people who'd come in and just have to stick their nose in. And I didn't want to be rude. I know you'll think that's funny. Yeah, you didn't want to be rude. Yeah, really. But go away. Go away. I'm not having a social moment here. I am working. Okay? Unless I did say to one woman, okay, I'd love to talk to you, but I don't want to be rude, but this is costing me money, and unless you're going to pitch in and pay for part of this, then I can talk to you. But this is $30 an hour. So I'm on a time limit here. All right? So whatever. So yeah, basically that's probably more information than you needed to know, but you asked, so you got it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things you just decide to do.
Yep.
People sometimes go out and buy an expensive car, and
yep,
you need to justify that.
And I do not regret it. I will tell you this. I do not regret it, except Walter reminds me every time that I should have got the 12-foot instead of the 10-foot frame. And I said, we couldn't fit. And he says, yes, it would have fit. And I said, I want to be able to move around it. And he says, you can move around it. Yeah. Now we have a new project, which I haven't started yet. And I had to get on with it. I want to redo the Lucey room, because I have a whole lot of crap out there that has to go. And I want new cupboards underneath Lucey, not these mismatched plastic bins and things. And, I want to get on with it. I got to get on with that. Yeah.
Okay. So what are people saying?
Well, Cindy said, for a year, Janome made the Sears Kenmore machines, and I had one of those that would sew through anything. Yeah, the Kenmores were made by Janome.
Well, most of the Kenmores were made by Janome.
And what Charlotte says, I just hit the wrong thing and almost reported Nightbot. Okay. Whatever. With that. So, moving on. What did we do for July the 1st? July the 1st was this past Monday. Seems like it was 2 weeks ago, but it was just this past Monday, wasn't it? We went to a town east of us, 45 minutes east of us, called Coburg, because every year they have sort of a waterfront little festival. They have a midway. They have a big vendors market, all selling their artisan trinkets, mostly jewelry. Yeah, and, fudge. But so we went down to it, and it didn't seem as big as it's in past years, but we figured out why. And I am putting up a video on the vlog on Monday, tomorrow, so you can see what we're talking about. But apparently the vendors were into the midway section. And we think the reason is they separated the artisans from the commercial interest. The people selling Ginsu knives and things that slice, dice, and make julienne fries.
Yeah.
With that kind of thing of it. So that may have why it seemed a little smaller. Didn't buy anything.
Cookies.
Oh yeah, we bought some cookies. There's a company that makes these shortbread cookies. We've had them before, and they have both sweet and savory, and they're quite good. And so we bought 3 boxes of those. Although the young lad behind the counter, I think they were it was the last day of this, and I think they were offering deep discounted prices on it. Because it was 3 boxes originally for $25.
Yeah, and then they sold you 3 for $20.
But he said for $10 more you could get 3 more, but I didn't.
No.
I wanted to, but Walter said no.
Well, I'm not really eating the sweet stuff, so those are not that sweet. They don't have that much sugar.
No, because you looked at that.
But they're good cookies.
Yeah.
But we've bought a whole pile of them before, and then they end up sitting in the cupboard for a while.
Yeah, because we get over it. They have these ones. They have like a cheese cookie, and Walter makes cheese cookies, Dutch one.
They're very similar.
They're similar, but not as good as what Walter makes.
Yeah.
But they have them in different. They have mild, medium, and they have spicy. We got the spicy ones, and they had a bit of a kick to them. They're nice cookies, but like
What I forget what the name of the company was.
the straw,
No,
something straw.
no,
I thought it was straw. Sparrow.
no.
Spring
Anyway.
Springwood.
Some spruce wood.
Spruce wood. Okay, I was close. I knew there was a
Spruce
tree
wood.
and an S in it.
They did
spruce
try
wood.
to sell them through Costco Canada. But that didn't go very well. They're stocked in some of the Sobeys for the Canadians here.
Yeah.
They're not particularly cheap. They're small box, but
Yeah.
they're very good.
Yeah, they're very good. So they're the kind of thing that would look very nice when you put out a charcuterie.
Sobeys and Farm Boy.
Yeah. So that was interesting down in Coburg, and we had lunch at a pub. What was it? The Cat's Ass or no?
Something like that. Cats.
Cat Peas? No.
Cat something.
Cat Puddle? Cat Piddle? Cat? I don't remember now. Something with a cat, and it was kind of.
It was okay, but it wasn't the best.
No, we both had a salad. We both ordered their Cobb salad.
Their version of the Cobb salad, but it was mostly chicken, a little bit of bacon.
Well, there was
bit
not a lot of
guacamole.
chicken in it either. So it was
Yeah, I mean,
mostly
it wasn't
salad.
It wasn't our best Cobb salad.
No, and at $17 a pop. The garlic bread was good though.
Yeah.
That wasn't on the diet, but we had that anyways. So anyways, and it was off the beaten track from where everybody
Yes, it
else
wasn't
was.
really packed, but that's probably why the food the way it was.
Yeah, it might have been. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, we're so used to civilization. It doesn't take long to get away from civilization where, y'all looking at having some of that there. Oh, they're darn good. They're darn good. Yeah. What are you looking at?
Oh, look at the name of pub, Quilter.
Oh, okay. It was called the Cat Piddle or something. I can't remember. Or the cat did something in that title, and I can't remember what it was. Anyways, we did that. So we went to a concert yesterday, and I do have pictures to show you of the concert. And this concert was a private one, and it is our great
It's the Cat and the Fiddle.
Cat and the Fiddle. I thought it was thinking, no, it's close, like the Cat and the Fiddle. So, it rhymes. So we went to this concert. Walter's nephew Ken, our nephew Kenny,
My sister's son.
yeah, he has two girls, not so little anymore. They're getting up there. There's Claire, the oldest. She's going into grade 8 this year, and then Brooke, she's going into grade 6. So they're getting up there, but they're very musical, and their father is too. So they play guitars. The youngest one, Brooke, she is hilarious on a bass, this great big huge thing, and she's a little thing, and there she's got this, and she's just up and down, and she's also taken up the flute now as well. Her older sister Claire does guitars, various types. They have several different guitars. Their father sort of plays background for them and whatnot. So they have this once a year. We sit out on their deck, have a glass of wine, and listen to the girls play, and they're really good. Now, I did not record them when they were playing because if I was putting it up on YouTube, I'd get demonetized for that, but I did take some pictures. So here's the youngest one. This is Brooke on her flute. She only started learning how to play the flute since April, so she's doing pretty good though. And I hear and she's also going to camp. So one time at band camp, I'm serious, she is going to camp next week. But anyways, I did sort of mention that. Of course, the girls didn't get that, which is probably just as well, but their grandfather did, Walter's brother-in-law. So that's her, and this is the older one. No, that's also Brooke playing a guitar. She plays both the regular guitar and the bass.
Playing the flute.
What was that?
Claire.
Oh, that was Claire. Oh, they look a lot alike.
Yeah. And this
yeah,
that's Claire. That's Brooke.
Brooke, while we were there, or Claire, while we were there, had this look of, oh, we know you're going into high school, and another year after this, you're coming up, and you're going to have that grade 10 bitch girl look really soon. Yeah, so there's Brooke playing the bass, and her father in behind her, doing whatever you call it, fill-in guitar, I don't know. And oh yeah, okay. So that was the girls, and it's always fun when we go and listen to them. They get better with every year. They're very musical, very musical. So that was kind of nice too. Let's see. Charlotte said, I just hit the wrong thing and almost report. No, I read that. Thanks for the info. Okay. I love being in a band in my school years. Yeah, well, I asked the oldest one which high school she was going to, because there's two really that I think she could, one or the other she could go to because of where they're located. And one of those is School for the Performing Arts, and they have a huge music department, or they used to. I'm assuming they still do. And that would be great for them if they want to pursue this a little further or whatever. Hard to tell with the oldest one because she's a tween right now, and well, any of you that had children know what I'm talking about. You know how they get, especially the girls. But anyways, when they hit grade 9, they're still kind of semi-sweet and innocent and a little bit scared, but then they hit grade 10 and oh my god, that's when the grade 10 bitch girl look happens and everything goes to hell at that point. Charlotte says, that sounds like the best kind of concert. Yep, it was private. Okay, so the gutter man was here. Explain the gutter man, Walter.
Well, I don't know. We have eaves troughs in the house, and we do have.
Well, most people do.
I have a couple in the back that a couple of downspouts in the back that tend to get clogged every so often, and they were clogged. And what happens is when it rains really hard here, it starts to pour over the back eaves trough in the middle, because the gutters aren't hanging, or the downspouts aren't doing their job, and I needed to get them cleaned out. Now these are like 2.5 stories off the ground. And I have a ladder that can go up that high, but Steve didn't want me to get it.
No, because 1, he's afraid of heights. 2, it's very steep. And 3, I don't want to be a widow.
Yeah. So anyway,
although there are days.
I phoned a place that does eaves troughs, and they did say that they do gutter cleanouts on the website in a certain spot, but I guess they don't do that anymore. So the guy told me, you can call another guy named Chris, and he does a good job, and he charges a lot less than they would charge. So I phoned him up, and the guy came and cleaned out the gutters. He did a good job.
And then Walter and he talked their ears off of each other after he was all done for about an hour.
No, it wasn't an hour.
Oh, it was an hour. No, it wasn't. It was an hour. I was watching you on the camera.
Anyway.
Going, what the hell do you have to talk about out there? Just like you're just like an old man. You know, my father used to do that too. He'd talk to anybody for an hour or longer.
Well, when you're stuck with you.
I'm poisoning your food. Simple as that. Maybe I should be a widow. Anyways, Cheryl says, stay off the ladder. Let the pros risk their life. Yeah, that's the way I looked at it. And they know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah, he did. He did a good job.
And he did a good job. And so that was all we needed for that. So now if we could just find somebody that would come and remove our hot tub.
Yeah, I know. I haven't really looked. So anyway, so I got to get that thing. I think I need to make sure I can get the
panels off the deck of the back. Yeah, whatever.
I think I'll do that first, just before. I mean, even if we end up having the panels off for a while, because I think it's because I just want to make sure I can get them off.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that we have this hot tub underneath our 12-foot high deck, and I enclosed it all when we got the hot tub. So, and it looks a little like a shack on the outside, but on the inside it looks nice. Anyway, so I screwed it all together and stuff like that, but that's like 20 years ago. And I have to remove the panels to be able to get the hot tub out. So I want to remove those panels first and then try and find out. I have a couple of places I can call to see when they can remove the tub. And if we have to deal with having the panels off for a while, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, the animals all come in and look. Oh, look,
Yeah,
we've
well,
never
they
seen it
come
from
in.
this side.
Yeah, they come
Oh.
in now.
Well, the chipmunks do. They like to crawl
Yeah.
under the door and sit there and look at you and go, "Hi, I'm under here. What are you going to do now about it? Give me nuts." So, yeah. And Barb says, and then Chris was invited for dinner. Oh, yeah, no, but I thought, yeah. Barb says, Walter, you should have asked Chris if he knew a guy to deal with the hot tub. Hi, Colleen. Well, there are things out there like that. There's several different ones.
His specialization was not that.
He was basically a general handyman.
Yeah, I said he told me basically he cleans these troughs during the summertime, and in the wintertime he does paint jobs, right, inside. And
his wife's a nurse.
And they have small children. And he decided to, I guess, instead of doing a regular everyday job, he's making probably more money doing this on the side, and can determine his own hours and still offer support to take care of the kids, right? Because I mean, the day that I called him, it was middle of the afternoon, and he told me he was out with his kids in the park. So obviously he takes care of the kids sometimes, and nurses in Canada work usually 12-hour shifts. So his wife might have been on a time where
she was probably
working, and he was taking care of the kids.
Yeah. So anyways, he did a good job, nice guy, and it's good to always know somebody that's a handyman as well, because if there's something else
to be reliable.
Yep. And he wasn't expensive. We gave him a little extra because he did do something else that Walter asked him to do, which was basically to fix one of the eaves trough that was sort of sloping down a little bit. And he secured it, and that's good. So that's all done. That's another thing off the list of things that need to be done around here. We have a longer list than that, but if we get to it, who knows. So that was all of that. Now let's talk a little bit about what's happening in our province a little bit. So we have a science center in Toronto. We have had it there for 55 years. It is extremely popular. They run educational programs all year round, including in the summer. And I remember when I was much younger too, that going to the science center was a thrill. Because it's very interactive in the whole bit, even as an adult, except the problem is they ought to have adult-only days.
Kids, right?
There's kids. They always are playing and pushing the buttons that I want to play with and push. But anyways, it's an institution in Toronto. So, in the infinite wisdom of our provincial government, they have wanted to relocate it to a new development down on the lakefront. This is not on the lakefront.
Actually, it's an old development on the lakefront that they want to refurbish.
Yeah, it used to be called Ontario Place. And they want to refurbish it, and they want to put in a spa. And what they want is they're selling this off to private concerns to make big money for all the ones in the government that have their finger in that pie as well. And they've talked about moving the science center there.
Well, also the Science Center is located on a piece of property in mid-Toronto that is premium property, and
for developers.
And there's rumors that they want to develop luxury homes there because it has a nice ravine.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of thing. So basically, you know what we're saying. It's the government selling it out to make more money for private interests. The hell with the people. Well, what they didn't expect was that people were getting upset. And the kicker to this was they got a report from, I don't know,
probably a company they hired.
Yeah, a company that they hired to say, oh, well, there was problems with the roof. It needed to be repaired, but it would cost like $40 million to repair it, and it was a danger. It could collapse at any
Actually,
moment.
it was $40 million to replace it.
Oh, to replace the roof.
Right. But apparently it was only one or two sections that were a problem.
And so the Ontario government, without any consultation with the general public or anything, not even the people who worked at the Science Center, and there's like about 250 employees there, they walked in about 2 Fridays ago, and they had erected fences all the way around the Science Center so no one could get in.
And they closed it.
And they closed it right down. And that was it. No consultation. Well, of course, some of the local politicians, city politicians, got involved with this. There were protests by people. There were people coming there. It's an ugly situation now.
And the science program had science center had all these summer programs for children,
for kids,
and suddenly they got canceled. And then the developer of the original Science Center 55 years ago or whatever has come up and said they are willing to, at their expense,
donate,
replace the defective roof panels.
Now, the roof panels will not collapse. It said that if there was a really heavy snowfall in October or November of this year, there was a slight possibility in one section the roof could collapse. So they just closed it now. It's summer. There's no snow. Contrary to popular myths that we have snow all year round in this country, no. And this kind of thing. So the BC government, the provincial government, which is conservative, is in hot water right now. And this one's not going to go away anytime soon. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen, because people are pissed right now about this one. So that's one thing. And so people are protesting this. So what other things are going on? Well, there was a strike with one of the, we only have 2 major airlines in Canada, Air Canada and WestJet. And so WestJet's, what were the mechanics, I think?
No, what happened was WestJet was going to go on strike, and I think it was the mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, WestJet didn't. WestJet claims that they made them an offer that was
that they refused.
An offer that they refused, but it was supposedly industry. It was the best offer that the industry has in Canada, and so the company that had it. So, but anyway, they got the government to come in and say, you will have binding arbitration by a third party for a resolution. You can't go on strike. Mm-hmm. But the mechanics found a loophole and they went on strike anyway.
Yeah. So they did settle. But in the meantime, WestJet was canceling all their flights a good week ahead of that deadline and whatnot, and threw everybody's plans out the window, of course. And WestJet wasn't doing a heck of a lot to rebook them on other airlines or things like that. And according to the law, they're supposed to offer people a full refund when something like this happens, even if it's a strike kind of a deal. And they're not. They're lagging them behind that and the whole bit, which is typical of the airlines in our country. This is how it works all the time. So that's been fun. And then on the heels of all of this, the employees at our LCBOs, which are the Liquor Control Boards of Ontario, they're how we get wine and beer and spirits and things like that. We have government-controlled stores. And
they're nice stores.
They're really nice stores and everything like that. And the employees there are always very helpful and everything in there. And we have them all over the province for this kind of thing.
And they do support a lot of our taxation base.
Yes, our infrastructure, a lot of the profits that they make, because they are a provincially owned agency. That money goes towards hospitals, healthcare, infrastructure for roads, things like that. And they make a lot of money, of course, because, it's booze.
And they supply all the restaurants and any other places that sell liquor.
So the employees were threatening strike because 80% of their force, the people that are employed there, are not designated as full-time employees, which means that 1, their job is not secure, 2, they can't get benefits, and 3, they're not paid what a full-time employee would make. So that was one of the things that they had. A few other things they're doing because our government is trying to take control of the booze out of these stores and drop them into like convenience stores and more grocery stores. Now, we already have wine and beer in some grocery stores. It's not as extensive as it is in the United States or other parts of the world. But there's some, but they don't sell spirits. But they want to put that in now as well. Well, the whole thing here is they're trying to break the liquor store union so that it becomes privately run. And that is just disaster. Because then you have, they can put booze on sale, which for the consumer isn't necessarily a bad thing, but your variety, your selection is not going to be as good.
And not only that, they can increase prices too.
Yeah, at whatever they want.
I mean, we found that when we went to Georgia, actually, when we went to BC, British Columbia last year, right? In April, they have a more widespread distribution system, and they have government stores for spirits and things like that. And we found that basically wines and selections in the store were more expensive than the Ontario prices.
And not as good.
And like we went to one store that was there and everything was covered in dust.
Yeah.
So you wonder how long that stuff was there.
Yeah.
And even when we went to the United States, in Georgia
at the
Walmart, we found that selections of wine that they sell here were more expensive than what we pay.
Yeah.
So that's decentralization of stuff, of drinks, and that could be a deterrent to consumers.
Well, also now it's all about profit.
Yeah.
Because private industry is operating this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but control. So liquor control, the word control is in there, controls who buys it. If you go into a liquor control board store, it's got a sign. If you are under 25, be prepared to show them ID. But if you got it in local convenience stores and grocery stores, it's hit and miss. And so you've got young people going in there buying liquor. You have more chance of robbery in a grocery store or in a convenience store, especially like a convenience store attached to a gas station. So this is just going on. Well, they're on strike. We stocked up.
It's the first strike ever in Ontario by this group.
Yeah.
They've threatened it before, and they've always settled in the contract, but they've gone on strike now.
Yep, and good for them. That is fine. I think they should, because again, this government we have right now here in Ontario. They're all about private industry. They are not for the people or anything like that.
And their slogan is for the people.
Yeah, that's irony right there. Definition of irony. So anyways, we have all these. And then we had the Pride Parade last Sunday. And guess what? It got stopped and then done in midstream because we have these groups. They're protesting. They're students. They're, for the most part, they are camped out on the U of T, University of Toronto campus, have been for a couple of months, protesting what's going on in Palestine, okay? And they want our government to go in there, and we've talked about this before, and basically tell the Israelis what they're going to do. Not going to happen because we have no control over that. That's another country. That's their affair and all that kind of stuff. But these people have been occupying the central or the common area of the U of T. There's been all kinds of things going through courts, injunctions to get them out, not get them out, do all kinds of stuff like this. So they decided on the Pride Parade to go ahead and stop it. They went in, right on the middle of the road, blocking the parade. The parade could not get around them. The cops didn't come in and do anything or take them away. And so the organizers of the Pride Parade decided at that point, okay, parade's over. Just like that. A parade that has 3 million people on the street watching this. And this is what happened. And I say this too. You have your rights to protest. You do not have the right to go in and stop other events that have taken a year to plan, that have all the prerequisites for having this parade and the whole bit, and you go in, a legal event, your event is not legal, and to stop it. And that is a form, in my mind, to me, that's discrimination. They are discriminating against the gay community by doing something like that. The gay community does not go into their encampment and start pulling down their tents to them at all. No, this was a form of discrimination as far as I am concerned about it, and there should be something done about it. Well, the camp has been dismantled, and because the injunctions went through. But these are students in university, and let's face it, students who are in university think they know everything about the world. They do not have a clear concept of what reality is, although they think they do. And the whole bit, like, give up the protest. It is not making a world of difference to what's going on over on the other side of the world. We do not, as Canadians, have any influence on it. We offer support in terms of trying to help get food into the people who are starving over there. We offer support for peace initiatives to ceasefires, but we do not control another country's government. So these idiot students, and that's what they are idiots, haven't got a bloody clue about anything. They're just effing stupid about it all. So don't rain on our parade, is what I say. So what are people saying here? Oh, Wild Rose is here. Hi, Wild Rose. Teresa says, I remember going to the Ontario Science Centre. I've also been to Science North in Sudbury. It's totally different. It showcases things that refer to the North, like mining, etc. Yep. Elsa says, Elsa's here. Okay. Barb says, my mom passed away and my brother couldn't fly from Kelowna to Calgary, 8-hour drive. His flight was canceled at the last minute, so he had to drive to Calgary. Yeah, well, that's how it works in Canada with the airlines. And I have a feeling it's bad like this in the States too. More of a choice in the States than we have, but I've heard that, yeah, things are not good. Airlines are just stupid. And Barb also says, other airlines were full. There was no notice until you showed up at the airport. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. And then when you go up and you try to talk to somebody to help you, they don't know. They don't know. And actually, I believe they don't know. The ones that are working at
because the airlines don't tell them.
Because the airlines don't tell them. And Barb says, how dare the protesters stop the Pride Parade? Just not right. Exactly. It isn't right. And Barb says, as far as I know, the gay community have always been nonviolent. Yes, there has never been a reported incident of violence at a gay pride parade. There might be some, but not on the level like where the cops have to be involved in that kind of thing. Because, I mean, when you have that many people, there's going to be somebody slapping somebody's face for some reason, especially if they've been drinking. Hi, Rose Garland. And Quilt Squirrel's here. Hi, Quilt Squirrel. So, anyways, that just gets my goat when that's going on. Because, you know, the Pride Parade represents happiness, inclusivity, all this kind of stuff, love, whatnot. And then these people come in and no.
They really should have a policy about anything being stopped.
Yeah.
In the Pride Parade that constitutes a violation.
Like Black Lives Matter did it a few years ago again, and that was completely inappropriate.
Well, yeah, they came in and they didn't have a policy then. They should have had a policy. Yeah. And they should have had that associated with police or whatever, that they would have to be constitute being moved out of the way. They could protest on the outside of the parade route, but not in the middle.
Yeah. But here's an interesting little twist. They interviewed a guy about this on the news, and he apparently used to be on the Pride Committee in Toronto. He was chairperson of it, and they didn't give any details, but he left in a huff from that. And he apparently seemed to be the spokesperson for this group that were protesting. That was the pro-Palestinian. So I have a feeling there's a little deeper underrunning current of bitchiness happening here. I think this guy had a
bone to pick.
A bone to pick with the Pride Committee. And the guy who's the head of the Pride Committee right now was on the news as well. And he seemed a little weak about it. Well,
that's the problem with the way the organizers of the Pride group in Toronto work, is that they don't have any
they haven't any balls.
Yeah, basically. I was going to say that was.
It's run by a whole bunch of bloody faggots. And when I use that word, and I can use that word, and unless you're a member of the LGBT community or gay, you cannot use this word. It's like the N-word. It's been taken back by the black community, the younger ones.
Yeah,
but
people that don't make any decisions, and the decisions they make are probably not good ones.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, who knows what'll happen.
They don't have
next
a lot
year.
of control.
I dare this group that stopped the Pride Parade. In a few weeks' time, we have the big. They used to call it Caravana. I don't know what they call it, Caribbean Festival.
Yeah.
And people come from outside of Canada to this event every year. It's another huge event in downtown Toronto. They have all the costumes, that they wear for, like Mardi Gras, like style kind of things and whatnot. And I dare them to try and stop that parade, because there will be violence.
I think no violence. I think they're a little bit. They have more balls.
Yeah, they have more balls. They won't take it. That's for sure. With it, but anyways, time will tell. Time will tell. Okay, so this week's comments. Okay, hate mail. Love it. Bring it on. Okay, had a few horrible individuals. You probably didn't see their messages, because I get an email as soon as somebody writes something in the comment section, and immediately if I see something that I think is inappropriate, shouldn't have it, that kind of thing, then I delete them. I love the power of the delete key, because, you guys know my sandbox, my rules. But anyways, something that's not really hate mail, but it is, and this is an example of a majority of comments, but sort of typical comment we get. So this person wrote after they saw part 5 of Walter Does Lucey. Okay, so that was the end of the quilt. This person says, Stephen, I noticed there was a little of the quilting pattern sticking out at the bottom of Walter's quilt. Donna Jordan's computerized quilt machine asks for the length of the quilt, and she can adjust how many rows of the pattern that fits in that length. Doesn't your program do that? I thought that was one of the advantages of having a computerized system. This is a passive-aggressive comment. This person isn't asking me to clarify something. It's not a question. What this person is saying is, you don't know what the hell you're doing with your machine. Well, let me inform this person about this. Yes. There is always, at the bottom of a quilt, when you do it on a long arm, the pattern will go off the end of the quilt and finish its stitching in your batting and backing. That is normal. I'll show you what I mean. I have a picture here of exactly what we're talking about. So here's what she's talking about. If you look, here's the bottom of Walter's quilt, and here is some of the pattern that doesn't fit there, because it doesn't, and it sews it into the batting. This is normal. This is normal. Now, yes, my computer, you put in the measurements. You have to do that before you start quilting. You put in the width of the quilt. You put in the total length of the quilt. The quilt path calculates how many rows it can do at one time for you. You can adjust that. If you want it smaller, you want it larger, or more rows or less rows, you can do that. But it's going to come to the end of your quilt and do exactly that. Now, sometimes it will do, depending on what you've put in for measurements and what the pattern is, sometimes it will do a lot more than what you're seeing in that picture over the edge. And if you don't want that because you might be, figure you're wasting some of your backing fabric, you can do something, you can do something called Eclipse on Quilt Path. And basically you mark out where you want the quilting to end. So it won't go beyond that part. But if it's a little piece like what I've got up that you're seeing up here, it's not worth going through that to do it. The other thing too is you're cutting that off. When you trim up the quilt, that's gone in there. So the only other thing I can think of is this woman is concerned about fabric usage. And so she's one of those people who, doesn't like to waste a micro stitch of fabric on that kind of thing. But this is a passive-aggressive comment on here. Donna Jordan's machine does it, which also brings up the Walter said. Do you think that she has a long arm? Because this comment would suggest that she doesn't know how long arms work. I don't mind people asking questions because they don't know. That wasn't a question. I was being told in the subtext that I'm doing things wrong with it. I don't appreciate those kind of comments. Those are passive-aggressive comments. And we get those kind of things. And I'm not the only one. Anybody who is a content creator gets these. So I wrote back to her and told her basically what I just told you as well. So I took the high road and decided, okay, I will answer it as if this was a legitimate question. But it's not. It is a criticism. It is a criticism. And it's not a constructive criticism. There's a difference. I like constructive criticism. But yeah, passive-aggressive comments don't fly with me. So let's see here. Sue says, the protesters who tried to stop the St. Louis Pride Parade, or St. Louis Pride Parade, got arrested and the parade went on. Exactly what should have happened in Toronto. Yeah. But it didn't. But part of that, too, is there's some bad blood between the Toronto Police Force and the Pride Committee that stemmed from the Black Lives Matter movement that happened a few years ago with them. Yeah. And they didn't want the cops in the parade.
Yeah, so they may not have wanted to cause a stir.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yes, the cops should have just loaded them up, taken them away. But you see, in our country, that's not usually how we deal with protesters in general. As long as they're not wielding guns or baseball bats or knives, then the cops are a little loath to come in and pack them all up into a paddy wagon and book them. Yeah. Unless it's a G20 thing. And then they just round up everybody and take them off. Yeah. Hundreds or thousands. That's a story for another day. And back from the past. Rose likes the shirts. And Wild Rose says, be sure to give Stephen and Walter a thumbs up. 99 watching, only 31 thumbs up. Thank you, Wild Rose, for that reminder. Wild Rose says, yeah, they're criticizing you guys. Yeah, I know that. And Stephanie says, why do they care where you stop your pattern? Well, exactly. Do you have that little to live for that this becomes part of your day, part of a major thing in your day? Yeah. Russ says, I go off my quilt quite a bit with my long arm. Yeah, I've done it too. Sometimes it's just easier to do that than trying to fool around with the Eclipse feature on Quilt Path. Yeah. I find. So, Katie's here, Greenland Quilter. Quilt Squirrel says, I think Walter did an amazing job. Beautiful quilt. Yep. He just has to get it bound now. And Katie from Greenland says, we have protests here from time of time, but it is never turned into violence and there are no cops to be seen anywhere. Well, our protests here in Canada are not usually violent either. And this was not a violent protest, but it was still a major disruption.
Disruption, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't move.
They should have had the cops come in and say to them, move off to the side, please. And they could protest off to the side.
Yeah, and there were only 30 of them.
Yeah.
So it's not like there were 600 people there.
But they didn't do that, and I don't think the Pride Committee didn't bother to ask the cops to do something like that or engage the cops with it. They just let it happen. So they figured, okay, we'll take the easy way out. We'll walk right into the clutches of these people that are protesting, and we'll just stop the parade, and it's the end of it.
Yeah, well, what's bad is some of those parade participants that were behind them. Apparently, there's like 280 participants in the groups or participants in the parade, and 67 were still to go.
Yeah.
And some of those are corporate sponsors and things like that, and they pay a lot of money to go into that.
Yeah.
So I wonder what backlash, if any, they get.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there won't be a pride parade next year.
Maybe.
Who knows? I don't know. So we're running over our time here, so let's just finish up with a few comments here. Stephanie says, this is why creators are hesitant to show how they do things when requested. Too many negative Nancys. Exactly. And people have asked me all the time to do a tutorial to this on a tutorial on that. Well, do I want to set myself up for the major criticism that's going to happen?
Why do you do that this way?
Yeah,
because
I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have done it this way. Then why don't you put up a tutorial on YouTube and show us how you would do it, bitch? Because that's what they're saying. Yeah. There's too many. And you want to talk about people who are stupid. There is a group on Facebook that we belong to. It's for those owners of Janome 550E embroidery machines. One woman was taking her machine apart. She had just got it to try and thread it.
Yeah, because it was said that her take-up lever on her machine needed to be at the top position in order to thread it. And she didn't know how to do that. So she took her machine apart to try and figure out how to move the take-up lever to the top.
You turn the flywheel.
And she said she read the instructions over and over again. She wanted to, and the instructions told her that the take-up lever needed to be at the top. Well, I took out the manual and I read the first 3 instructions in how to thread your machine was to move your presser foot up. Second one was to lock out your machine so it wouldn't sew when you're trying to do the threading. Third one was to move the hand wheel towards you to put the needle up to the highest position, right? Which moves your take-up arm to the top as well, right? And meanwhile, she took apart the entire machine so that she could try and figure out how to put the take-up on.
And they're back again, the ones talking about, oh, I want to embroider on a doll. So how can I move my needle foot up? You can't on a 550E. And I've seen these things that say you can get this special foot that will have better clearance. No, they're meant for your sewing machine. We've had this conversation.
Doing free motion quilting.
With rope bowls and the whole bit. And so I wrote a comment on there today because I'm just sick and tired of listening to this stupid things. You can't get a foot like that for your 550E. If you're trying to do something that your machine is not designed for, then I hope you have lots of money, because when you break your machine, you're either going to have to spend a lot of money having it repaired or replace it. Why are you trying to make your machine do that which it's not designed to do? You're tempting fate here. Just don't do it. So I have decided that the Embroidery 550E group on Facebook is a pit for stupidity in there. That says it's not even worth my time trying to write things in there to help some people out with stuff, because come on, people, you need to help yourself and be reasonable. And these people are just,
they're idiots.
They're idiots. Okay. Last couple of comments. Katie from Greenland says, most of the protest relates to keeping our country's mitts off a mountain in Narsgad, and sometimes they protest about the government doing something they didn't like. Yeah, well, you do live in Iceland, or Greenland, so, a protest there would be what? Most of your population, and like all 20 of them? I'm just being a little funny there. Okay, Katie. Brenda says, have a great week. Hope to see you on Wednesday. Probably, Brenda. If I'm not there, you won't be. So, and Dubravka says, some people just have to criticize to be happy. I'm here to learn something new, and I'm thankful for people like you do these videos. Thank you. That's nice of you to say. No, Greenland. Yeah, I caught myself, Katie, on that. Okay, everybody, that's way over our time today. Thanks for joining us. Remember, Pop-Up Sew Day next Saturday, 8 a.m. The doors open. All the information you need for connecting to it will be in all the show notes next week, and on the mailing list, you'll get an email. And have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Oh, crap. We're still on the air. Do you want to talk about something more? Let's see. I've got to find the button. Oh, here we go.